Barricades' superabsorbents act like miniature sponges, absorbing and holding large amounts of water. These wet sponges, or bubblets, layer themselves one on top of another, forming a long-lasting thermal protective gel coating. In order to penetrate this coating, the heat must boil the water out of the top layer before it can be transferred to the layer beneath. This unique thermal protective gel coating provides an amazing level of protection to structures, vehicles, fuel tanks, propane cylinders, or any object where they are exposed to the effects of a fire.
I'm John Bartlett with Barricade Fire Gel. We're here in what is still an active fire area just days after a wildfire raged through the Palomar Mountain community. I'm here with Bill Leininger. We're in Palomar State Park. We happen to be standing in front of a residence that was saved with Barricade Gel. We're going to look at some of the lessons learned, some of the unique pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, that you and the rest of the community, the fire chief, George Lucia, took here in the Palomar community. But bottom line, there was a lot of houses saved in this community, both through the use of the Barricade Gel, but also some of the unique efforts and some of the unique actions that you, the fire department, the community emergency response team. Bill, by the way, is the coordinator for the Palomar Mountain Volunteer Fire Department Community Emergency Response Team. My own personal feeling is that these CERT teams, as they're referred to, are in the future going to play a really important role in helping to solve this fire threat, the situation that we see all too often where these wildfires are burning down literally thousands of houses. Bill, we want to take a look today at your actions, have you explain some of the things that you did. We'll take a look at some of the residents like this that are still standing today as a result of some of the unique efforts that took place here.
Sure, and the weekend of October 20th and 21st is when the Santa Ana's kicked up the first time, and it was on Sunday the 21st that the fires first started in San Diego County. Coincidentally, we were holding more CERT training that weekend and getting more students trained and actually doing barricade training as part of that. And so during that time, as we were approaching our final exercise on the last day, which was supposed to be practicing the skills we had learned, the Palomar Mountain Volunteer Fire Department was activated to start supporting the fires around San Diego County. And so as a result, our final exercises turned into real activities supporting the fire department, helping them with the trucks and gaining more skills at that time. Over the next several days, Palomar Mountain wasn't threatened, but several days later into the fires, after the Pumacha fire developed, Palomar Mountain was threatened. And so primarily the Palomar Mountain Volunteer Fire Department, along with the California Department of Forestry, California Fire, and other fire teams came in to start fighting that. What CERT was able to do was help notify other mountain residents, help the firefighters out, and that's one of the most important CERT roles, is to take over the non-dangerous, non-professional activities that the firefighters have to perform and free them up to go do what they do best. And so we had members back at the fire station answering the phones, helping them with supply issues, going around and notifying residents of evacuations, telling them where to go. We were able to help them get barricade on some of the buildings up here. And the barricade works well for us because our CERT members are not supposed to be in dangerous areas. If we're having to run from fire, we've made a mistake. We should be there hours before the fire shows up to apply the gel to the buildings, to give them an added layer of protection beyond what the community has already done for fire defense. And by being there several hours in advance, we can then leave before it's dangerous and evacuate the area. And then the firefighters can do whatever they need to do unencumbered by worrying about civilians being in the way. In the situation that we had here, this is a ranger's residence that's been here from the very first days of the park. Very traditional architecture,
yes.
A real treasure up here on the mountain, a real privilege for the rangers to be able to live here. And as the fire came through this part of the state park, the fire department was actually using the barricade to add in their defense, to buy themselves time and to protect the structures, because with how dense the forest is here, it makes it very difficult to provide perfect defense.
As I said, we're still in an active fire area.
And so what the firefighters were able to do was protect the residents with barricade and get it covered. Unfortunately, the other structure next to it, the garage, they didn't have time to protect, and you'll see in upcoming footage of exactly the difference made as the fire swept past this residence site and what happened to the residence that was protected and what happened to the garage that there wasn't time to provide protection. One of the reasons that there wasn't time to provide protection is that the fire chief who was in charge here had firefighters fighting fires in other parts of the park who then needed urgent support because of how rapidly the fire was moving. And so once they'd done as much as they could on this residence, they had to move on to take care of their fellow firefighters and keep them from getting